We are falling apart inside. Something is deeply wrong. You can feel it, even if you can't explain it. It isn't visible. It isn't tangible. But it's suffocating. It's in the air. In rushed gestures. In empty conversations. In the heavy silence between one notification and the next. And the most unsettling part? Almost no one talks about it. And when they do, it's through memes, irony, or quick diagnoses. The rest gets swept under the rug with a familiar phrase. It's modern life. Just keep going. But what if it's not just modern life? What if this discomfort is an internal alarm asking for help? What if your mental health is begging for attention, and you've learned to silence that voice with noise, tasks, and distractions? The truth no one posts is simple and harsh. We are falling apart inside. And unfortunately, that has become normal. Development with emotional turning points. We walk with our eyes down and our minds far away. Phones in our hands, headphones in our ears, schedules packed. Our heads saturated with shallow content. We laugh at parties, brag about productivity, post photos smiling. But inside, something creaks. Something breaks. Something decays. We have the freedom to buy, change, transform. And yet, it never seems to be enough. Anxiety has become the new normal. Loneliness has become an ignored symptom. Insomnia, panic attacks, bursts of anger, silent breakdowns, have been renamed as just part of life. But what if they're not? What if we are going through a collective mental collapse? Children medicated before they learn to write. Teenagers unable to tolerate 1 minute of silence. Adults who only rest when they get sick. Couples who share a roof but not intimacy. People who disappear from their own story, leaving behind an invisible note. I couldn't take it anymore. These are not anomalies. They are signals. Signals of a system that demands everything from everyone all the time, and in return delivers existential emptiness. This collapse does not only appear in therapy offices. It spills into social media, into shallow connections, into the constant fear of not being enough. It's a soft psychosis, collective, smiling, photogenic, and lethal to life's meaning. The human mind is being hijacked, not by aliens, but by false ideas repeated until they become beliefs. We wake up, live, and sleep in an alienation disguised as freedom. This zombie mind doesn't question. It consumes. It shares without reflecting. It confuses validation with value. And then the inevitable question arises. What remains of self-esteem when everything we are must fit into numbers, likes, and approval? Reflective questions. First emotional turn. When was the last time you spent 10 minutes in silence? No screens, no music, just your own breathing. How many of your choices are truly yours? And how many are automatic responses to invisible pressures? What you call freedom, could it actually be dependence on stimulation? Are you living your purpose, or simply avoiding the discomfort of emptiness? If no one could see you, would you still do what you do every day? The turning point, naming the emptiness. There is a kind of pain that doesn't scream. It simply settles in. You work, interact, consume, plan, and still something is missing. A fatigue that sleep cannot cure. A restlessness that likes cannot erase. And this pain is not only yours. It is collective. It is the price of a lifestyle that prioritizes everything, except what truly matters. We run from boredom and fall into pain. We run from pain and dive into emptiness. And the more we run, the more the autopilot takes control. Until one day, standing in front of the mirror, the illusion melts. And we ask ourselves, who am I without the noise? It wasn't only a break with traditions. It was a loss of anchors. When symbolic pillars were removed, spirituality, rituals, community, belonging, we were left with 1,000 choices and very little direction. Everything is possible, slowly turned into. Nothing makes sense. Without roots, we cling to what remains. Consumption, performance, productivity. If I don't know who I am, at least I can show what I have. Or how much I suffer. Pain has become social currency. Exposure has become a desperate attempt to belong. The invisible machine. The digital world has transformed attention into a product and behavior into engineering. Notifications, infinite scrolling, instant rewards, everything designed to keep you hooked. And it's not about willpower. It's about the architecture of addiction. In this environment, mental health becomes secondary. Anxiety becomes market fuel. Distraction is not a side effect. It is the method. And the result? Identity becomes an avatar. Intimacy becomes content. Truth becomes opinion. We trade depth for quantity and call it progress. What begins as resistance eventually becomes assimilation. You don't defeat the chaos. You become the chaos. Reflective questions. Second emotional turn. Which digital habits control you without you noticing? What do you stop feeling when you are constantly distracted? Which difficult truths do you avoid by staring at a screen? What would you gain from a 24-hour digital detox? From 0 to 10, how intentional is your day? And what could raise it by 1 point today? The proposal: rebuild from the inside out. There are no shortcuts. But there is a path. And it begins inside. 10 practical steps for reconstruction. Silence and reflection. 10-minute micro pauses. Smart digital detox. Clear windows. Minimal notifications. Mental care routine. Water, sunlight, movement, sleep. Anchored purpose. 3 non-negotiable values and 1 micro project. Real relationships. Real meetings. Long hugs. Conscious consumption. Distinguish need from emotional anesthesia. Honest inner narrative. Replace "I have to" with "I choose to." Information hygiene. Less noise, more depth. Reconnection breaks. 3 60-second checkpoints per day. Serve something bigger. 1 daily act of care. Emotional deepening. Notice the pattern. The more you give your time to stimulation, the less inner freedom you have. The more you outsource your value to external metrics, the more fragile your self-esteem becomes. But when you reclaim mental space, create rituals, rebuild belonging, something quiet begins to happen. Your heart slows down. Your mind clears. Your body asks for less anesthesia. And the emptiness loses its power. You begin to fit inside yourself again. Reflective questions. Call to decision. What small practice are you willing to adopt today to protect your mental health? Which habit do you know harms you and could be reduced by half in the next 7 days? Which 3 values will guide your choices in the coming weeks? Who are the 2 people with whom you need to rebuild Reis connections? If you stopped trying to prove yourself and started simply being, what would change tomorrow? Inspirational conclusion. We are suffocating under a life that does not translate into meaning. We have become prisoners of an invisible slavery. No chains, but narratives that hypnotize us. The way out is not escaping the world. It is relearning how to inhabit yourself. Self-knowledge, purpose, mindful attention, community. There is no fast path, but there is a path, and it begins within. If this video resonated with you, turn understanding into action. Write in the comments, "Today I choose to live for myself. My freedom begins now." Share this message with someone you love. And if you want to continue receiving content about mental health, purpose, and inner freedom, stay here with us. The journey is not easy, but it begins now. It begins with you. And every conscious step is already a piece of freedom reclaimed.